So let's get started. My name is Patricia McGinnis Schaefer. I'm a project manager, an instructor here at Microtrain. I have a few other certifications, just a little background information about me. I've worked for various Fortune 500 companies, including United Airlines and 24/7 AI, which is an artificial intelligence company. And prior to that, I also worked for Sears. So my background has primarily been focused on customer experience. And with customer experience, we rely on data in order to improve the customer experience. Since joining Microtrain, I teach a few classes here, one of which is Tableau, and the other one is Power BI. So today we are going to talk about the demand for data skills. So speak data. I know there's a song that comes to mind. I won't sing for you guys because you may drop off. So I don't want to encourage anyone to leave based on my lovely singing voice. So I'll save that for later. So let's get started. So why is data so important, and why are we talking about data today? So if anyone's keeping up with the times here, the nature of work will change and millions of people will require new skills. It's not surprising that, new technologies, these emerging technologies, make certain forms of human labor unnecessary, or you can look at it as being economically uncompetitive. And as a result, it creates a demand for new skills. So this has been a repeated phenomenon since the Industrial Revolution. So first things first, what are we talking about when we're speaking of the Industrial Revolution? And why is the fourth revolution so important? So there is an author, his name is Klaus Schwab. He came out with a book called The Fourth Industrial Revolution. He believes that there are four distinct periods, starting with the first Industrial Revolution, and that really was using water and steam power to mechanize production. The second, which introduced electric power and introduced electric devices for mass production. And then the third industrial revolution, and that's referred to as the digital revolution, that brought about semiconductors, mainframe computing, personal computing, IT, and the internet. So things that used to be analog, moved to digital technologies. When you think about it, like an old television, used to tune in with an antenna. I'm not sure if you guys can recall those days, because I'm sure everyone is much younger than me. But if you think about it, that old antenna was replaced by internet connected, tablets, and that allows you to stream television series and movies, etc. So this fourth revolution, which we refer to the data revolution, that's what's happening at the moment. So it is taking automation, to new levels. It's blurring the lines between the physical, the digital, and the biological spheres, and it involves new technologies and industries, which all have data at their focus. So while technology can increase worker productivity and create jobs, it can also displace human labor or augment it, to different degrees. So in this ever-changing world of technology, it's important that we keep the focus, on data. So IoT sensors will generate a ton of data, that will be relevant for machine learning based automation. And then many of these technologies will be delivered and consumed in the cloud, even as we see the emergence of edge computing. And then we have next gen robotics, and we'll see the convergence of IoT, machine learning, and cloud computing as these robots start getting better all the time through cloud-based machine learning from data from IoT sensors, in the robot. So if you think about this, you can think about some of the technologies that we see today. So we have the self-driving cars, and what comes to mind with self-driving cars, I think of Tesla. Even with Tesla, there is no need to take your vehicle to get serviced. No need to go to a shop because they can do this remotely. So again, they're using all this data to make, consumers, their lives, better. Other instances where we're seeing the use of this technology, is in accounting. We're also seeing it in, plants. So robotics is taking over, where a lot of humans used to do the work. Now it's being taken over by robots. And that's a good thing, because those are tasks that, could be done better by robots, but as a result, there are new fields coming into play. So as we start moving into more of these emerging technologies like artificial intelligence, we'll see the need for humans to be skilled to be able to work with these new technologies. So data is extremely critical when you are working with these newer technologies. Again, in this ever-changing world of technology, we rely more and more on data. It's, increasingly more important. It's building up on who we are, who we know, where we are, and where we want to go. So mining and analyzing this data lets us understand and predict how people behave, at an individual, group, and global level. It enables organizations, consumers, and society to be more flexible and responsive and make more intelligent, data-driven decisions. So when we think about some of these new technologies, when we talk about robotics, when we talk about artificial intelligence, when we talk about sensors, how are these making our lives easier from a consumer standpoint? And again, I'm just going to throw questions out there. Has anyone noticed a change in the way you're doing things today? Has anyone noticed any changes when you go to a sporting event? They're really using data to improve that customer experience, when it comes to parking, when it comes to displays, when it comes to the concession stands. They can go ahead and detect, how many people will be in line at a particular event at a particular given time. And that's based on historical data. I don't know about the rest of you, but I look forward to that type of technology when they start introducing it here in Illinois. I recently went to a concert last week, and I can tell you this, I had to wait in long lines, but I know for a fact that this technology exists in other stadiums, in Texas, where they are improving the customer experience. The last thing that I want to do is wait in line. I really just want to sit and enjoy my concert. If you think about how these sensors can be used, for you, a consumer, think about, the next time you travel. getting on an airplane. What does that mean for you? Wouldn't it be nice if the airlines could detect by use of sensors how far away you are from the airport? Couldn't they indicate if you are going to be able to park, get through security, and make your flight in time? And if not, how could they improve that experience? They could automatically get you rescheduled to the next flight so that you're not walking through the terminal, getting to a gate to be turned away, to be told to go back to the ticket counter to make these changes. So again, I look forward to this type of technology. Anything that makes our lives easier, I'm all in. When I think about shopping today, sometimes, it can seem a little creepy, when we believe things are, Alexa and some of the other ones are listening in, but sometimes it can be beneficial. I was mentioning I was looking for a new purse. Well, I did one little search, and I was, researching, looking for data myself, okay, well, I like this purse. How many reviews are out there? What is the cost of that purse? Can I get it cheaper somewhere else? So we're all using data to make decisions. But what was nice in that moment, I didn't make a decision, but when I went back to the computer later on, I was receiving ads, based on, the applications I was visiting, and they were, presenting me with content that was important to me. So finding the purse I want at a cheaper price. So again, this is how, these emerging technologies are making our lives easier by the use of data. So we talk about, how technology can improve, end user experience. What does it mean to workers? Well, it can increase worker productivity and create new jobs. But it can also displace, human labor or augment it, to a different degree. So from piloting, again, when we think about the self-driving cars, I know Google has one out there, they've been testing it, but Tesla is the one who really comes to mind, to these rule-based jobs in areas such as accounting. So where you're automatically auditing financial statements to speed up the rate at which, accounts receivable and payable complete a task. So over the next 10 years, 1.2 billion employees worldwide will be affected by this adoption of these automation, technologies and artificial intelligence. So when you think about that, that equates to about 50% of the world economy and will disrupt the US by 14.6 trillion in wages. So the workforce, is automating faster than expected. It is displacing, currently right now, 85 million jobs, within the next 5 years here. And then on top of that, with the COVID-19, it's, these two scenarios are really driving changes for workers and companies alike. So companies' adoption of technology, that's also going to transform jobs. And we're starting to see this change, or at least you'll see this change within the next 3 years. So some 43% of businesses surveyed indicate they are set to reduce their workforce because of technology integration. 41% plan to expand their use of contractors for task specialized work, and 34% plan to expand their workforce as a result of technology integration. So, within a couple of years, the work's going to be, I would say, almost evenly distributed between humans and machines. So as the economy and job market evolve, we'll see new roles emerge across the ecosystem. In technology fields, with the use of artificial intelligence, and in content creation careers such as social media management. And then we'll see these newer emerging professions, that are, when they talk about, these green economy jobs, you'll see these new jobs, come to light. And these are the roles at the forefront of data and artificial intelligence economy. So these new roles, in engineering, cloud computing, product development, the up and coming jobs highlight the continuing importance of human interaction in the economy through roles in the care economy. So in marketing and sales, content production, and roles that depends on the ability to work with different types of people from different backgrounds. But everything, when you're looking at this, is all dependent on data. So the jobs of tomorrow, we're going to see, 97 million new jobs created. And that's a result of robotics, analytical thinking and creativity, most sought out skills, by 2025. But when you think about even beyond 2025, we talk about data literacy. That is going to be the most in-demand skill by 2030. So there was a study that found business leaders and employees alike predict that data literacy, and that is defined as the ability to read, work with, analyze, and communicate with data, will be the most in-demand skill by 2030. And 85% of those executives believe it will become as vital in the future as the ability to use computer technology today. The study found that there is such a greater appreciation of data in the enterprise. Companies rely on data, in making decisions. And 89% of executives now expect all team members to be able to explain how data has informed their decisions. So what does that mean for, everyone today? That means you have got to at least learn the basics of data literacy. Using Excel, learning how to ask questions of the data, looking for those trends, looking for patterns. Most everyone, regardless of the role you're in, you're going to rely on data in order to make decisions about your area. And if you're not relying on data to make decisions, you're not going to be around in 5 years. It's as simple as that. People demand, that you're using data to personalize their experience, to provide them with relevant information about what's important to them. So again, it's important that you start really, thinking about data, start talking data. You do it in your everyday life. You may not even realize it. How many of you go to the grocery store and actually look at the labels, deciding, should I buy this or should I buy that? I know I do it. I'm looking, how many carbs, what's the fat content? I rely on that data so that I can make, a decision on what types of food I should be purchasing for my family. Shopping, I'm sure you guys, even, and I'll say guys, shopping, when you're looking at sports related, products, everyone looks at price. You're looking at brands, you're looking at surveys. So all of that, you're taking data into account before you're making these decisions. Oops, sorry. Okay, these are skills that are, related to data literacy. So if you're looking at this, data visualization and analytics tools, 35%. The ability to use statistical data tools or languages. So if anyone, even in Six Sigma, if anyone is familiar with Six Sigma, they're using statistical tools to be able to make decisions. And again, what are you looking at? You're looking at the data. Again, employees demand it from, their employers demand it from their employees today. According to a Forrester study, business leaders, they acknowledge the significance of using data to add value across their business. And employees agree. They find that decision makers and employees, in every department, so thinking about IT, your marketing, product development, operations, consider basic data skills as the most important business skills to possess. Now, there is data that is showing, there's a disparity. Departmental leaders are twice as likely as employers to say the organization has, supply the data skills needed. And that's a major disconnect because we are seeing the data is out there that shows that 35% of employees are in the last 12 months have left their jobs because they didn't feel they had the data skills needed to be able to do their jobs, to the best of their ability. So these are things that, companies, workers, need to be focused on. So again, the data is out there that says, without data skills, businesses can't make decisions, to move the dial forward. And in order for you to be able to meet, the demands of employers, you need to have those skills as well. For future of jobs, I've just put up a chart here that shows the jobs that, are increasing in demand, and then those jobs that are decreasing in demand. So, at the top, you see data analysts and scientists, AI and machine learning specialists, big data specialists, digital marketing and strategy specialists. As you go down the list here, what do all of these, jobs have in common? Data. You're using data at every touch point in order to be able to make decisions about your business. So with that, does anyone have any questions?
Hey, Patty, there are some questions in the chat.
Okay.
From R. Callahan. The question is, if you cannot, how difficult or easy would it be for a job seeker to transition into a career in data?
Actually, it's pretty easy. You'll see there's a shift in education. I will say that now. There's a company called HolonIQ. It is a research company that strictly focuses on education. And the tides are changing here. So certifications will be the way to go in the future. You'll still have, universities and colleges, but it's going to be for those folks like doctors and lawyers. But you will see where certifications are key. Most companies to now, and I'm talking big organizations, they are looking for employees that have certifications, in those skills. So there are lots of certifications out there, using data. I would recommend, first you want to get, understand the basics, and then maybe take an Excel class. And then companies today, they're using, I would say, these data visualizations tools to be able to communicate the information. So with that, you're able to build these dashboards and tell stories. So it's very easy to, make the switch as a career changer, because in fact, regardless of the industry that you're coming from, the industry you're going to be using data. So it's going to help in no matter what field you're going into. And getting a certification today, there's a lot of entry-level certifications. It's not going to be a problem.
Okay. What type of data related jobs are more feasible for someone to transition into if they don't have a lot of prior experience or skills in database, data science, etc.?
Okay. So, just if you've used Excel itself, just having a common, I would say, basic knowledge of, data literacy. And there are a lot of free tools out there, or free programs. In fact, you'll see a lot of organizations, they're actually putting together data literacy programs, training programs for employees. But you can transition, to a business analyst, a data analyst, if you're a manager of a department, you're going to be using data to either make decisions about your business. If you switch into a data analyst role, you'll be working with the team where people will be coming to you with questions, about what's going on within the business. So if you think about it from, say, say a retail perspective, or say a product manager, why are my sales down for this particular product? They would come to a data analyst with, questions, and what you would be doing is providing them answers to their questions, making use of storytelling, like through a data visualization tool, like a Tableau, like a Power BI, or you can simply use Excel and create, charts and graphs that way. But there are free, I would say, training programs so you can get the understanding of data literacy. And then from there, I would encourage you to do Excel. And then I would definitely encourage you to learn a data visualization tool, because that's how you're going to be providing answers, to these stakeholders. You'll be doing it through the use of storytelling, and the typical tools, Power BI, Tableau, Click. There's a lot of them out there. Oh, yes. I see the other one here. There are advanced data certifications. Actually, Tableau just came out with one. It's the data analyst certification that was released just a few months ago. CompTIA just came out with an advanced data analyst certification. There's quite a few out there. So the person, James, you stated you have basic data Excel, BI, or Tableau experience. Do you have the certifications, an Excel specialist, Office specialist certification, or Tableau or Power BI certification?
I just finished a boot camp where we used Tableau, and it was data and visualization boot camp, but I'm not specifically certified in Tableau.
Okay, so the first certification that Tableau has, there's two of them that you may want to consider. So depending on, the class that you took, what I would recommend is looking at the exam objectives. So the first one is for the Tableau Desktop Specialist. That's their entry level one. And then the new one that they came out with is the Data Analyst. So I would encourage you to, look at the exam objectives, and that will kind of guide you as to, what certification you would want to sit for. And it would also tell you too, the boot camp, whatever boot camp you took, if that's going to prepare you, if they went over everything that's geared towards the certification. So there are a lot of boot camps out there that will get you familiar with, the tools, but it may not prepare you for the certification exam directly.
Does Tableau require the desktop specialist as a prerequisite for taking the other one?
No.
All right, thank you very much.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions? No? Okay, so I just like to ask a few questions of folks here. And I'm just gonna pick on a few people. So James, I'm gonna pick on you first. How
Okay.
are you using data today in your everyday life?
Just got off the CDC site to get some COVID stats because I'm kind of in an ongoing arguments with some of my friends with that. So that's almost daily at this point.
Okay, that's a good one. Tableau, just so you were aware, they do have a COVID database. So where it's pulling data from multiple sources. So you may want to check that out as well.
I will, thanks.
Let's see, who else would like to?
Patty, I had a question for you. Sorry to interrupt.
Okay.
I know there's some competing dashboard tools, and I would assume there's value in a couple of them, including, of course, Tableau, we just mentioned, and then Microsoft's Power BI. What's your opinion on that? Thank you.
Sure. So if you're first starting out, with these tools, I would recommend Tableau first. So the features that I like most about Tableau, it's just drag and drop, very easy to connect to, various data sources, almost 100 of them. The nice thing about Tableau, they have you could create stories. And that's really nice because when you get into data analysis, it's supposed to be very focused, because people today, they have a tendency, to be all over the board, and you can't keep their attention. So, the use of stories allows you to display, one or two visualizations, talk about why it's important, and then you could go to a new story point, and talk about that, and then, keep adding story points. So that allows, your stakeholders to be focused. What I like about Power BI, it is built, there's a lot of history there. It incorporates, a lot of Microsoft tools. So Power Query, it does, use a lot of artificial intelligence tools already. So Azure Cognitive Services, so unstructured data, which is a huge thing now for folks. I think that's a great ability when you're able to tie that data in there. And I'll give you an example. I had mentioned I worked for United, and I also worked for an artificial intelligence company. And the nice thing about working for the artificial intelligence company, Adobe was my client. So again, I'm like, program manager here, and my goal is to support, their key performance indicators. So how do we keep people in the channel of choice? How do we reduce the number of calls to the call center, and how do we improve customer experience? So using chat and then tying that to, the web analytics to see what page they were on when they started chatting with the agent, you're able to determine, okay, well, what's causing people to, not complete the golden journey is what we like to call it. So being able to tie that data together, you can improve the customer experience. A lot of times you'll find it's just content. They don't understand what's on the website, and that's why they're picking up the phone. So again, they both have great features, and Salesforce acquired Tableau a few years back. So you're seeing Salesforce really dump a lot of money into Tableau. They're introducing it into a lot of their products, and their sales cloud, their marketing cloud. I mean, today it's nice if anyone's in marketing, they're using artificial intelligence to determine, what segment of customers they should be sending emails to. They're using artificial intelligence to determine, what images work best, what time, they should send it based on when people open emails. So they're personalizing it. And that is key in today's society. I mean, how many of you like getting, spammed, when I'm like, I have no interest in this. Now, if you can personalize it, make it relevant to me, go ahead. I think that's what's important, when you're using data. There's different stages of, data analytics, and being able to predict, what that next step would be for a consumer, really does improve customer experience. And then when you personalize it, it's key. Anyone else? So how many of you guys out there watch sports? Okay. All right. So these pro athletes and, their managers, they're relying on sensors. So they're able to predict, injuries. They are able to look at, the stance. They're able to recommend, improvements so that, baseball players, one, they're reducing injuries, and two, have better stats. And this is all being done through data. I mean, I think it's amazing.